mga aral sa mundo. Tayo na. Tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tutok na. Tangkop, tangkop time.
Good afternoon to our senior high school learners who are watching via our FB Live at DepEd Tayo Tangub and Astral Academy.
I am Vincent Esmontibon from Tangub City National High School.
And I am Mildred B. Bichayda from Tangub City National High School. And we are your teacher facilitators today. Good afternoon, Sir Vincent.
Okay, good afternoon din, ma'am.
Okay,
so today is Wednesday, so January 19, 2022. And we will be discussing topics about the subject Practical Research 2.
With that, stay tuned, learners, because we are going to discuss our subject for today, which is Practical Research 2, after a short break. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
We are back to our lessons, still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
This afternoon, learners, since we already discussed the topics covered in the most essential competency or MELCs in the subject Practical Research 2, let us have a generalization or summary by introducing to you the research process or the output of your study. So in the research process, there are actually two stages. So the research proposal stage and the final stage.
Okay, so then part 1 of the research process, ma'am. First, we have the problem. No? So it includes the introduction, statement of the problem, the hypothesis, scope and delimitation, the importance, significance of the study, and as well as the definition of terms. The above mentioned parts were actually discussed thoroughly in the first quarter of the semester. And I'm sure, ma'am, that we already have or you have already an idea or know on how to formulate, no? Our learners na siya ideas, ma'am, on how to formulate the first part of their research paper.
Okay,
So
so
from identifying the problem of the study, so down to the definition of terms.
all right, so learners, so flash in your screen are the second and third part of the research process. So the second one is the review of related literature and studies. And the third one, we have the methodology. So in the methodology, under which are the research design, sampling, sampling procedure, instrument, and treatment of the data.
Okay, ma'am. So and then, ma'am, we have in the final stage, ma'am, of the research paper are the following. First, we have the data collection, ma'am, no? So that is the time nga nag-gather ng data itong mga learners. Then, next is the presentation, analysis, and interpretation of the data. So using the different inferential statistics. Then, we have the summary, conclusion, and then the recommendation.
All right, so learners, so in the previous slide, we already gave you the detailed on the first stage of the research output. So this time, we will continue on the second and the third part of the research output as mentioned a while ago, which are the review of related literature and studies and the research methodology.
Yes, ma'am, Mildred. So in the review of related literatures, ma'am, section of the study, so the review of related literature format depends on the kind of discipline. So this is often a section in the thesis and dissertations. This is a requirement in a research proposal. So the literature review is a section that publish body of knowledge. So prior research studies, theoretical articles are reviewed, summarized, classified, or compared by the researcher. So baga, mo na isa sa mga basihanan mo in identifying research problems. So mga bata dapat mabasa sa mga related literature.
Yes, you're true. You are right, Sir Vincent. So since the intention of the literature review section is to offer an impression of significant literature, so which are in connection to the present study, the researcher needs to do some assessment or examination of katong mga scholarly articles, books, mga dissertation, output, no, conference proceedings, pwede ang mga conference proceedings, sir, and other sources which are essential before writing the literature review. So the resources to be assessed or examined must be relevant to the present topic.
Yes,
kung unsay topic nga gihimo karon sa ato ang mga estudyante. So, particular issue, area of research or theory, a description, summary, and critical evaluation of each work must be provided. So, aside from that, Sir Vincent, so there are 4 important questions in constructing a literature review section. So, kinahanglan, makita na to present ni siya. So, unsa man nga mga questions, sir, nga para in constructing the literature review.
Yes,
so, what is the research topic? So, dapat ang literature review sa mga ato ang mga learners ning anchored pud siya sa ilang study. So, kung sa ilang topic or problem sa ilang study, dapat relevant.
Mas mo dapat connected siya sa present
connected.
na topic kay magamit man na to ang review of related literatures support sa ilang findings sa present topic, ma'am.
Yes, sir. So another one, can sources that are relevant to the topic investigated be found?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the third one, sir, can the sources at hand when put together contribute greater understanding to the present topic? And the last one, sir, are these scholarly articles applicable to the present study?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because diha sa review of related literatures, these are what our other authors says
Yes, ma'am.
about your present.
To strengthen the findings of the study, ma'am. So, pwede na to siyang i-support.
Yes, sir. Okay, so learners, moving on to the next is the research methodology. So, this study presents, no, kumbaga, this is the preliminary phrase kung naanata sa research methodology. Kaya ang research methodology is one section of your research output. So this is how we are going to formulate the preliminary phrase. No? This study presents the research design, research setting, and respondents of the study, the research instrument, and the data gathering procedure. So ato na siyang na-mention kaganina.
Yes, ma'am. So under sa research methodology, we have the research design. So usa na siya sa part na grabe ka importante in conducting research. So the research method is used in the study. So I think there are different kind of research design, especially in quantitative research, natay correlational, di ba? Natay experimental research. So dapat ato yung sabto ng entire atong study, ma'am, para maka-decide ta of what would be the kind of research design na atong gamiton sa atong study. So one example of research design is the descriptive method, ma'am. So the descriptive method of research will be used, was used in the study. So example na to siya, no? So this method describes what is. So it looks into the situation that exists in the area. So this method identifies the impact of, say for example, the method identify the impact of electricity shortage to the business in Tangub City. Kumbaga, by using the descriptive method, from the word descriptive, kumbaga, ito lang i-describe ang situation.
Alright, so in addition to that, sir, the research design, naalang tayo importante nga tips nga atong ihatag sa ato ang mga learners sa pag-formulate ani. So it is important that the learners will know nga ang what is, no, the what is gyud siya, what is the method used in the study. So sa ilahang topic unsay ilahang method nga gamiton sa ilang study. So it could be a descriptive, correlational, and then next ana nga paragraph, sir, what is the study all about?
Yes, ma'am.
And then aside ana, pwede pud sila nga mangita og definition nga o that describe ana sa ilahang research design.
Dapat ila pong i-state ito, ano gagamit sila ng research design, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Okay, and the next part of the methodology is the research setting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this section presents the description of the environment. Kung intag setting, where the study conducted or to be conducted, no? It is the setting or place where the research is conducted. So I have here, sir, flash in the screen the example kung unsaon pag-formulate ang research setting. So this is actually based on one of the studies, no, particularly line siya sa business. Okay, so the study was conducted in city of Tangub. So in the Philippine map, Tangub City is located in the northern part of Mindanao, where businesses are located at the heart of the city. So this is an agricultural city where environment is naturally preserved. Farming in upland and small-scale fishing in the shoreline are the most common sources of living. The consideration of businesses under this study was based on the selection of areas where concentration of commerce arises. The identified areas are Barangay 1, Barangay 2, Tangub City, public market, and Maluro, such as the grocery stores, banks, net cafe, printing stores, barber shops, and restaurants. So in that section, the researchers describe,
describe the
setting or the environment of the study.
Okay, so next to the research setting, ma'am, we have the respondents of the study. So usa siya dapat sa gina-consider sa usa ka researcher in conducting research, if available ba ang mga respondents, no? Kasi sa respondents of the study, diana na to kuwaon ang ato ang data, ma'am. So this part describes specifically the respondents of the study. So say for example, no, the respondents of the study were the owners of those business establishments, grocery stores, banks, net cafe, printing stores, barber shops, restaurants. So who use electricity as their primary or secondary source of operations. The respondents were randomly selected by the researchers. So natay randomly, no, so it's up to us. We're going to, or depende sa study ma'am, unsaon na to pag-select na tong mga respondents, either randomly or non-randomly ma'am.
All right. So, with regards to that, sir, respondents of the study, ang term nga respondents, pwede siya gamiton in quantitative
Yes, yes.
research study.
How about for quality?
For qualitative, pwede na to siya tawagon participants of the study.
So, participants for qualitative.
Qualitative, para
Okay.
dili kayo mo confuse ang ato
Yes,
ang mga bata, sir, ba, para makuha na to ang difference sa duha. So, for kani siya nga ato ang example is a quantitative study. So, kani siya nga section, respondents of the study, ang ato ang subtitle ani sa ato ang research sa ato ang research output or
Okay ma'am.
okay. Then next one is the research instrument. So I'm sure ang atong learners kaila namang gyud what is research instrument. Kay usa po na siya sa atong competency nga na-discuss in our mga previous lives nato. Okay, so this part supplies information to the reader on what tool is utilized in gathering the data of the study. So the tool could be an adapted nga tool. It could be standard survey questionnaire, a modified questionnaire from the original. Pwede ta mo gamit og questionnaire sa katong nakita nato nga sa atong mga literature review.
Pero dapat i-acknowledge na to.
Then ang importante lang kung gi-modified nato is i-acknowledge nato ang author sa ato ang gi-modified nga questionnaire kay dili man to atoa.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? Or a self-devised or constructed questionnaire. Self-devised kita mismo ang naghimo sa instrument. Okay? So example, since ato nang na-enumerate kung unsa nga tool ato ang i-utilize, so naamang section sa atong study unsa na to pag-formulate ang research instrument section of our study. So this is how. So interview, schedule, and researcher constructed questionnaire were the instruments used in this study, which basically help the researchers in obtaining the data. So simple kay siya, direct to the point ang pagka-state nato sa to ang research instrument. All right? So stay tuned because we will be right back after a short break. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na mag-ipipina, halika na mag-aral na. Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na
And we are back still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Okay, so we are done with the research instrument mo. So, importante kayo nga itong research instrument. Ang research instrument mo, dapat naka-anchor siya sa itong every research question that are stated in the statement of the problem. Kaya mga itong gamiton, pag-measure at or pag-answer atong matag research question mo.
Questions.
Okay. So, after constructing or formulating the research question, ma'am, wagi pa siya og validation. So,
Yes.
next part is the validation of research instrument. So, dapat gina-validate na to ang research instrument, ma'am, para...
Most especially,
Yes.
sir, if it is self-devised.
Yes, ma'am. So, muagi pa siya, just like for example, no, muagi pa, ginakuha na to using the Cronbach alpha, ma'am. Dapat, using the Cronbach alpha, kumbaga ang yung reliability test, ma'am, dapat 0.70 above para makaingon ta nga reliable na siya nga research instrument, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Okay, using Cronbach alpha, makuha na to ang reliability sa usa ka research instrument. So, baka ato siya, muagi pa tag pilot testing, ma'am. Okay. Para may kaingon ta nga kana nga research instrument is valid. Pwede na to siyang gamiton in gathering the data. Okay, so say for example, no, in improving the research constructed questionnaire, so validation was employed. So it was checked by the advisor and the school statistician for approval. And then it was revised to suit the needed data. Finally, the test was administered.
All right. So, next one is the data gathering procedure. So, unsay process
Yung isa.
o giunsa or unsaon ang process sa pag-gather sa data.
Yes, ma'am.
So, this section explains the course of actions,
Yes, ma'am.
approaches, procedures, processes, methods, techniques, manners, mode or way on how to gather the data.
Ma'am. Okay, so next, ma'am, we have the statistical treatment of the data, especially if you're doing, ang atong research design is quantitative, ma'am. So, ang statistical treatment of the data, ma'am, is nakadepende po siya sa atong gigamit nga research design. So, for example lang, atong gamiton nga research design is correlational, so probably we'll be using with Pearson correlation coefficient, ma'am. Kung ano to ang significance, di ba? And then, if we're testing if gamit og experimental, ma'am, no? Testing the significant difference, daghan kita. We have t-test, pwede ANCOVA, so daghan kayo mga ito pwedeng magamit. So this part introduces the statistical method used to interpret the gathered data. So for example lang, ANOVA. Ang ANOVA, ma'am, is gamiton na to if nag-involve na siya tulo ka means, ma'am. More than 3 or more than means, so magamit tag ANOVA. Chi-square, gamiton chi-square, ma'am, if the data are presented in a frequency distribution. Kung ano to ang chi-square, ang gamiton chi-square. So weighted, just like for weighted mean, ma'am, no?
Yes, sir.
If we'll be using descriptive, atong research design is descriptive. So kung ano to ang weighted mean, ang MPS, mean percentage score, frequency distribution. So if ginatali na to, ang research design is descriptive. So pwede ito makakuha ng frequency distribution, percentile, and the like. So in analyzing and interpreting the gathered data, so the researchers use frequency and percentage. Pero depende na siya, ma'am, sa research design. Pwede pa muna ito gamiton, especially if you're be using ANOVA. So naman tayo SPSS, ma'am. Pwede nito siya ipang-entry na itong mga data na mag-gather ito. Automatic na mo gawas. Nakatabulit na tanan. So frequency and percentage were used to determine the distribution of the respondents in each category with the total number of respondents.
Okay, so in this section, sir, it is important to employ the formula. So present ang formula
Yes,
in
sir.
that section. So for example, if you use the one of the statistical tools nga percentage, so ibutang nimo ang formula. So percentage is equal to frequency over number of respondents times 100. So it is very important in the statistical treatment of data. So kinahanglan kayo, importante kayo sa itong mga learners nga naagyud sila background knowledge on statistics. Kay most especially quantitative man ang ato ang focus man good ani nga ato ang lesson. So ang ilahang learnings on statistics is very useful in this research nga subject.
Okay, so actually, ma'am, part din siya sa discussion sa statistics and probability, I think, fourth quarter, ma'am. So dito, na-discuss ang uban sa mga inferential statistics, pareha sa t-test, z-test, Pearson correlation coefficient, regression analysis. So gina-part din siya sa statistics and probability.
Alright, so pero sir, dili naman pud maglisod ang atong mga bata whatever statistical tool nga ilang gamiton, kay we have naman pud nga magamit nato nga kana bitong tool bitaw,
Yes, ma'am.
sir.
Just like SPSS, ma'am.
Oh, is PSS, it could be helpful nga ato lang i-guide ang mga bata unsaon siya pag himo or unsaon nato pag solve through SPSS.
Even Excel, ma'am, na tayo data analysis, pwede na ito gamitin na ito ang Excel, ma'am.
Okay,
Sa
yes sir.
Data analysis. Ato lang i-activate ato ang data analysis ato sa Excel. So, pwede na ito siyang gamitin.
All right, so I hope that learners, you were able to follow the basic guidelines of research study and apply what you have learned from our discussion to your own research study. Okay, so for your attendance marker this afternoon, so naa siya sa ibabaw, inyuhang i-record ang attendance marker. So our second attendance marker.
Okay, so senior high school stars, we hope that you acquire knowledge on the topics being shared to all of you. If you have any questions or comments about the topics, please write it down below.
Alright, so this is Mildred B. Bichayda from Tangub City National High School.
And Vincent S. Montebon from Tangub City National High School.
Alright, stay safe everyone. This is Astral
Astral
Academy
Academy
Cyber
Cyber
School.
Tayo na buksan ang mga radyo, lina at matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo na tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na.
the Department of Education, Division of Tangub City, in partnership with the local government unit of Tangub, presents Ang Tangkub, transforming advancement in the new normal, guiding K-12 learners under broadcast media, crafted in response to the need of making education possible and accessible to students at the comfort of their homes. It covers the most essential competencies thematically layered in drama plays, which were originally written, directed, and performed by teachers to see to it that education is securely provided. This is Ang Tangkub.
It's Tangkub, Tangkub, Tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tangkub time.
Hello and good day, grade 7 learners. Welcome to the 8th episode for second quarter of Ang Tangkub, TV-based instruction. You have learned in the previous lessons the biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem. In this episode, you will be able to predict the effect of changes in abiotic factors on the ecosystem. Abiotic factors, also called abiotic components, are non-living factors that impact an ecosystem. Abiotic factors are part of the ecosystem and can impact the associated living things, but they are not living. The term abiotic comes from the root parts a or a meaning without and bio meaning life. The living parts of an ecosystem are called biotic factors. Abiotic factors make up much of the variation seen between different ecosystems. By determining the availability of essential resources such as sunlight, water, oxygen, and minerals, abiotic factors influence which organisms can survive in a given place. Common examples of abiotic factors include wind, rain, humidity, latitude, temperature, elevation, soil composition, salinity, or the concentration of salt in water, radiation, and pollution. The following are a few examples of how abiotic factors can shape ecosystems by determining which organisms can live in them and what those organisms must do to survive. In many places, prairie or savanna ecosystems evolve instead of forest or jungle ecosystems. For example, because there is not enough rain to support trees, other factors such as high winds and soil that is poor in essential nutrients may also help to create an environment in which trees cannot survive, but prairie plants are prevalent. Abiotic factors may include added challenges to life forms, such as temperature extremes, high winds, or even pollution. Human activity has also become an important factor in determining which life forms survive in some ecosystems. Desert abiotic factors, perhaps the most obvious biome that is determined by abiotic factors, is the desert. Because of low rainfall, deserts develop ecosystems that are highly distinct from those of any other habitat. Scientists use the term desert to refer to any area which has less than 25 centimeters or 9.75 inches of rain or snow in an average year. By this definition, deserts cover about 20% of Earth's land area, including the continent of Antarctica. Desert ecosystems can also experience extreme temperature swings because open water and water vapor act as temperature stabilizing elements in wetter biomes. Between the low rainfall and the often extreme temperatures, deserts develop unique organisms and food chains. Tropical rainforest abiotic factors. At the other end of the spectrum, tropical rainforests are one of the wettest ecosystems on Earth. To be classified as a rainforest, an area must receive at least 75 inches or 190 centimeters of rain per year. Most rainforests get well over 100 inches or 254 centimeters annually. Tropical rainforests are rainforests located in the tropics. The tropics form a belt around the equator and receive a great deal of sunlight throughout the year, resulting in warm temperatures and mild seasons. Due to their warm and wet climates, rainforests develop extremely dense, lush, and complex ecosystems. Rainforests are unique in that they consist of life layered on top of life. Most scientists divide tropical rainforests into 6 different layers, each of which hosts different types of life. The topmost layer of the rainforest, the canopy, receives the most sunlight, while the bottommost layers receive very little sunlight because of shade from plants in the other layers. This impacts the species that are able to grow in these layers. Tundra abiotic factors. Another unique type of biome created by abiotic factors is the tundra. Tundras are located in the North Polar region where they receive very little light and heat from the sun. As a result, only a thin top layer of soil thaws sufficiently to allow plant growth. A deep layer of soil called subsoil can remain frozen for thousands of years. Because the subsoil remains frozen, trees which require deep roots cannot grow in the tundra. Instead, grasses and other small plants that can grow in the thin soil flourish. Abiotic factors in the ocean hosts some unique abiotic factors. Notably, the ocean contains salt. It also has the attribute of death, which affects the amount of sunlight that the sea life receives. The saltiness of the ocean is important for the animals living there. All creatures must adapt to prevent the ocean salt from disrupting their biochemistry. Dolphins that swim in the ocean get all of their water from their prey animals because the salt water would dehydrate them. Some fish can survive only in salt water because they have adapted so well to the environment. The ocean, like the rainforest, also has a number of different zones that receive different amounts of sunlight and host very different types of life. This is because water itself both blocks out and absorbs sunlight. Life in the topmost zone of the ocean, called the epipelagic zone, receives a large amount of sunlight. This is where photosynthetic ocean life like coral and seaweed is found. By contrast, the abyssopelagic zone at the bottom of the ocean receives almost no sunlight. This part of the ocean hosts strange sea creatures, some of which cannot survive at the surface because their body structures depend on the high water pressure at depth. The very deep trenches of the ocean contain an even colder, darker zone called the hadopelagic zone. This zone is named after the Greek underworld. As a result of these abiotic factors, there are different ocean ecosystems, such as shoreline ecosystems, coral reef ecosystems, and deep ocean ecosystems. Abiotic factors in other ecosystems. The biomes described earlier are not the only ecosystems impacted by abiotic factors. Ecosystems make up the entirety of the Earth's surface, and abiotic factors impact all the living things within them. For example, abiotic factors also shape the features of the following ecosystems. Temperate rainforest, sometimes called temperate broad-leaved forest, are characterized by mild, seasonal climates. They are less dense and tropical rainforests due to the milder weather but still play host to rich biomes. Freshwater ecosystems represent the non-marine aquatic ecosystems, including rivers, ponds, lakes, springs, and wetlands. Abiotic factors affecting these ecosystems include temperature, light penetration, and pH of the water. Grasslands are ecosystems primarily dominated by grass, lacking the abundance of trees required to be considered a forest. These ecosystems are defined by the rainfall. There is too much to be considered a desert, but not enough to support a forest ecosystem. Taiga ecosystems are called forest regions found in the subarctic. They are characterized by the presence of evergreen trees and other plants that can survive the cold, such as mosses and mushrooms. The animals include moose, bear, deer, and lynx. Hope you learned something new today, kiddos. Now, kindly get your activity sheet number 8 in Science 7. Let's read the directions. Directions. Read the given paragraph and answer the questions briefly. Write your answers in 3 to 5 sentences. Good luck and God bless, kiddos. Please prepare grade 8 learners for Science 8 is coming next. This has been Ms. Bernaline Carpio, your science teacher for today. Always remember to keep reading, keep watching, and keep learning at home. Bye!
Inihahandog ng Dibisyon ng Tangub City ang iba't ibang kwento, aral, at kaalaman habang kayo ay nasa inyong mga tahanan. TV-based instruction.
Hello, grade 8 learners! Welcome to our episode 8 for the second quarter of Ang Tangkub. Previously, you have learned about the occurrence of meteor showers. In today's episode, we will differentiate the characteristics of comets and asteroids. Moreover, this lesson will help you understand the difference among meteoroid, meteors, and meteorites. Recent advances in space technology have allowed scientists to study near-Earth objects such as comets and asteroids. Comets are icy bodies or objects, while asteroids are rocky fragments. They are remnants from the formation of our solar system 4.6 billion years ago. The table shows the similarities and differences between comets and asteroids. In terms of origin, comets originate from Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud, while asteroid originates from main asteroid belt. The shape of comet is varied and irregular, the same as asteroid, which is also varied and irregular. The size range of diameter in terms of kilometer for comet is 1 to 10 kilometers. On the other hand, for asteroids, it's 1 to 100 plus. The chemical composition of comet is ice or frozen water, frozen gases such as ammonia, methane, and carbon dioxide, and other organic compounds such as carbon-containing compounds. On the other hand, the chemical composition of asteroid are silicates such as olivine and pyroxene, iron, and nickel. The orbit of comet is highly elliptical, while the orbit of asteroid is more rounded. For the orbital period, comet takes 75 to 100,000 plus years to orbit around the Sun, while asteroid takes 1 to 100 years to orbit around the Sun. Overall, both comets and asteroids have varied and irregular shapes. However, asteroids have bigger sizes compared to comets. When we compare the location of comets and asteroids, comets are located farther from the Sun. That's why it takes longer years for the comets to complete one revolution than the asteroids. Comets and asteroids have different composition. Since asteroids are located near the inner planets, its composition is made up of silicates. That's why they are usually rocky objects. On the other hand, comets are usually icy or frozen materials since they are located near Neptune or farther from it. The composition of a comet is important in helping scientists understand how Earth has liquid water, which in turn made the planet livable. During Earth's formation, scientists theorized that the planet must have been too hot to have liquid water on its surface. By studying comets' orbits and the chemical composition of materials found in impact craters all over Earth, soil, and ice samples collected from drilling down Earth's crust and marine layers, scientists theorize that the early impact of comets on Earth brought liquid water to the planet. The chemical composition of asteroid is important in providing clues for scientists to discover more about the chemical composition of Earth and other planets in the solar system, as well as how life on Earth was affected by impacts in the past. It is the scientists' belief that Earth, other planets, and asteroids are essentially similar in composition. In fact, asteroids are also called minor planets or planetoids. After knowing the similarities and differences of comets and asteroids, let us now know the difference among meteors, and meteorites. Meteoroid is a rocky or metallic fragment of an asteroid, comet, or planet. Meteor is a streak of light seen when a meteoroid heats up in the atmosphere, while meteorite is a meteor fragment that reaches the ground. There are 5 meteorites found in the Philippines with its year and place of discovery. First meteorite is Pampanga, which was discovered last 1859 in Pampanga. Next is Paitan in 1910, which was also discovered in Paitan, Ilocos. Next is Calivo in 1916, which was found in Western Visayas. Fourth is Pantar in 1938, which was found in Central Mindanao. And lastly, Bundok in 1956, which was found in Southern Tagalog. In terms of location, meteoroid is found in space, meteor is in the atmosphere, and meteorite is on Earth. That's it for today, grade 8 learners. This time, kindly get your activity sheet number 8 in Science 8. Activity 1, Directions. Fill in the missing terms to completely differentiate comets, meteors, and asteroids. Activity 2, Directions. Draw and label the location of meteor, meteoroid, and meteorite in the box provided. Note, your drawing should not be a copy of the given illustration in the first page. Use your time wisely, learners. Good luck and God bless. Grade 9 learners, stay tuned for Science 9 is coming next. This has been Miss Mary Chris Malalis. Always remember to keep reading, keep watching, and keep learning at home. Bye!
Inihahandog ng Dibisyon ng Tangub City ang iba't ibang kwento, aral, at kaalaman habang kayo ay nasa inyong mga tahanan. TV-based instruction.
Hey there, grade 9 learners! Welcome to the 8th episode for second quarter of ang Tangkub, TV-based instruction. In the earlier lessons, you have learned about calculating the molar mass and the connection between molar mass, number of moles, and number of particles in a mole of a substance. This time, in order to be proficient in solving for molar mass and percentage composition of an element, let's solve more sample problems. But first, let's review what is molar mass and how to get it using its formula. The molar mass of a substance is defined as the total mass of 1 mole of the substance. It is numerically equal to the atomic mass and often represented in terms of grams per mole. Molar mass can be represented by the following formula. Molar mass of a substance is equal to mass of the substance in grams over or divided by the number of moles. Molar mass is needed in order to proceed in solving for the percentage composition. In finding for the molar mass of a compound, you need to identify first the atomic mass of each constituent element. The atomic mass is found in your periodic table of elements. Kindly refer to your periodic table of elements. For example, the compound sodium carbonate or Na2CO3. Sodium Na has an atomic mass of 23 grams, multiplied by 2 because there are 2 atoms of sodium in the compound. It is equal to 46 grams. Carbon with an atomic mass of 12 grams multiplied by 1 is equal to 12.01 grams. And oxygen that has a mass of 16 grams multiplied by 3 is equal to 48 grams. Adding up 46, 12, and 48, it is now equal to 106 grams. Therefore, the molar mass of sodium carbonate is equal to 106 grams. Another example is the compound sugar or C6H12O6. In this example, carbon with atomic mass of 12 grams multiplied by 6 because there are 6 atoms of carbon in the compound. It is now equal to 72 grams. Hydrogen with a mass of 1 gram multiplied by 12 is equal to 12 grams. And oxygen that has an atomic mass of 16 grams multiplied by 6 is equal to 96 grams. Therefore, the molar mass of sugar or C6H12O6 is 180 grams. The percent composition of a compound can be determined from the chemical formula of a compound. The subscripts in the formula are first used to calculate the mass of each element in 1 mole of a compound. Then, it will be divided by the molar mass of the compound and then multiplied by 100. The formula is percent by mass is equal to mass of element in 1 mole divided by molar mass of compound times 100. Let's solve for the percentage composition using the given formula and the values of previously calculated molar mass of sodium carbonate or Na2CO3 and sugar C6H12O6. Solving for the percent composition of sodium Na has a mass of 46 grams, refer to the previous data, divided by the molar mass 106 grams times or multiplied by 100 is equal to 43.4%. For carbon has a mass of 12 grams divided by again the molar mass 106 grams times 100 is equal to 11.3%. And oxygen with a mass of 48 grams divided by the molar mass 106 grams and times 100 is equal to 45.3%. Next example is C6H12O6 or sugar. The mass of carbon is 72 grams divided by the molar mass 180 grams times 100 is equal to 40%. Hydrogen has a mass of 12 grams divided by 180 grams times 100 is equal to 6.67%. And oxygen with a mass of 96 grams divided by 180 grams times 100 is equal to 53.3%. Hope you learned big time today, learners. Now, kindly get your activity sheet number 8 in Science 9. Activity 1. Problem solving. Directions. Solve the following and show your solutions. Find the molar mass of each compound. Refer to the one shown earlier. Activity 2. Problem solving. Directions. Solve the following and show your solution. Find the mass percent of each compound. Refer to the example shown earlier. Take your time and think wisely, learners. You can do it! This has been Miss Vernaline Carpio, your science teacher for today. Always remember to keep reading, keep watching, and keep learning at home. Bye!
Telebisyon ng Tangub City. Ang iba't ibang kwento, aral, at kaalaman habang kayo ay nasa inyong mga tahanan. TV-based instruction.
Hello, grade 10 learners! Welcome to our 8th episode of Ang Tangkub. Previously, you have learned about the operation of a simple electric motor. Today, we will explain the operation of a simple generator. Tracing its history, shortly after Ørsted's discovery that electricity produces magnetic field, scientists experimented the opposite possibility. This led Michael Faraday to discover the electromagnetic induction in 1831. Michael Faraday concluded that when a wire is moved through a magnetic field, a current is generated in the wire. This process of generating current by the relative motion between a wire and magnetic field is called electromagnetic induction. Faraday's law of induction is designed to accurately predict and measure how a magnetic field will interact with an electric circuit to produce an electromotive force. The electromotive force converts other forms of energy, such as electrical energy, into mechanical energy. This concept allows us to produce electric motor and electric generator. For today's episode, we will focus on electric generator and how it operates. An electrical generator is a mechanical device that converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. It is the exact opposite of electric motor. However, the parts of electric generator are almost the same as the electric motor. The basic parts of the electric generator are the armature, brushes, commutator or slip rings, and permanent magnet or the stator. The armature is the one that rotates when the generator is turned on. The brushes are the spring-loaded contacts that transfer current from the armature to the electrical system. The brushes actually rest against a segmented ring at one end of the armature called the commutator. For an electric generator, an armature needs to rotate in a magnetic field produced by a magnet. The changing magnetic field as the armature rotates forces electrons through the armature solenoid, inducing current. From the illustration, take note that no current is produced when the armature is not being rotated. An induced current is produced in an electric generator by rotating a wound coil called armature in a stationary magnetic field. Circular metal conductors called slip rings are connected to the ends of the armature so that they rotate with it. The induced electric current is delivered to an external circuit through the slip rings by stationary brushes. Generators may be classified as an alternating current generator or AC generator, or a DC or direct current generator. Both or these generators work in the same fundamental principle of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. In an AC generator, when the loop of wire rotates in a magnetic field, there is a change in the number of magnetic field lines within the loop. The number of magnetic field lines that the loop encloses varies from a maximum to a minimum, then back to a maximum again. As this happens, the changing strength of the magnetic field through the wire induces a voltage that generates electric current. The induced voltage initially causes a current moving on a direction along the wire. As the loop of wire rotates through 180 degrees, the induced voltage reverses and consequently reverses the direction of the current. The direction of the induced current reverses every half revolution of the wire, or after every 180 degrees turn of the loop of wire. This causes the formation of alternating current. The slip rings always keep the wire connected to the same side of the electric circuit. This mechanism causes the direction of the current to alternately change its direction in the current. On the other hand, a DC generator is almost the same as an AC generator, except that the slip rings are connected to the rotating loop of wire or armature, or replaced by split rings or commutators. Each half of the split ring is connected to one end of the loop or armature terminals. The current induced in the armature is still an alternating current, but the split ring makes the current flow into the external circuit in one direction. This means that after the armature makes a half turn, the gaps between the split ring or commutator causes the voltage to reset or no voltage output. Then, another positive voltage output is obtained as the brushes touches the other half of the commutator. The two brushes are always in contact with successive pairs of commutator halves. That's it for today, grade 10 learners. This time, kindly get your activity sheet number 8 in Science 10. Directions: study the given illustration and answer the given question. Use your time wisely, learners. Good luck and God bless. This has been Miss Mary Grace Malalis. Always remember to keep reading, keep watching, and keep learning at home. Bye!
We hope that you have learned the most essential lessons you need to master. See you on our next episodes. This has been
We share.
Ang Tangkub.
It's Tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fun. Masaya, tutok na.
Kung gusto mong maglingaw-lingaw, mga tawag magloling hayaw, mag-joyride na. Uba na ang imong barkada, silingan o pamilya, mag-joyride na. Sinating untang palibot, mga lugar sulod sa tanggob, mag-ubanta. Tamsilangga tumakilaw, sa sanabog sa pulaw, laagunta. Labi na yun sa huyuhoy, ugnang dapit daghan og kahoy, talanan. Maglibot tango, maglibot tango kita. Maglipay-lipay, magsakay-sakay tala. Maghihiusa, maghihigala. Let's get together, make life feel better. Kung gusto ka og entertainment, for fun and for enjoyment, no problem ka. Sinanduloy among pambato, kung usayo smart kaayo, believe jud ka. Panahon sab sa Disyembre, super cute ka aligre, malingaw gyud ka. Fireworks display daghang ganahan, musidlak sa kalangitan, mapawag gyud ka. Christmas symbols, capital of the Philippines. Ninira na ninyo makita, friends, diba? Diri sa tanggop, maglibot tanggop kita. Maglipay-lipay, magsakay-sakay tala. Maghihiusa, maghihigala. Let's get together, make life feel better. Makita, friends, diba? Hapit sa tanggop, maglibot tanggop kita. Maglipay-lipay, magsakay-sakay tala. Maglibot tanggop, maglibot tanggop kita. Maglibot tanggop, maglibot tanggop kita. Maglibot tanggop, maglibot tanggop kita. Maghihiusa, maghihigala. Let's get together, make life feel better.
Matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo na. Pumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo, tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tangkub, tangkub time.
Good afternoon to our junior high school learners who are watching via our Facebook Live at DepEd Tayo Tangub and Astral Academy. I am a Mary Chris Malalis from Bintana Integrated School.
And I am Miss Vernaline Carpio from Tangub City National High School.
We are your teacher facilitators today. Good afternoon, Ma'am Vern.
Good afternoon, Ma'am Chris.
Kumusta man ka karon, Ma'am Vern?
I'm fine, Ma'am Chris. How about you?
Yes, very fine as well, Ma'am Vern. So today, Ma'am Vern, is January 19, 2022, and we will be discussing topics about science.
Yes, Ma'am Chris. So let us see our topics for today. So for Science 7, abiotic factors on the ecosystem.
For Science 8, we have the difference between asteroids and comets, meteors, meteoroids, and meteorites.
For Science 9, percentage composition.
And for Science 10, we have simple generator. Okay, so dili na ta magpaligoy-ligoy pa, Ma'am
Yes.
Verno. Let's now directly proceed to our Science 7.
So for Science 7, Ma'am Chris, learning competency, predict the effect of changes in abiotic factors on the ecosystem.
That's right. So you have learned on your previous lessons about the difference between biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem. So in this episode, you will be able to predict the effect of the changes in abiotic factors on the ecosystem.
Yes, Ma'am Chris. So abiotic factors, also called abiotic components, are non-living factors that impact an ecosystem. So abiotic factors are part of the ecosystem and can impact the associated living things.
Yes.
But they are not living. The term abiotic comes from the root parts a, which means without, and bio, which means life. So abiotic, which means without life. So
That's
non-living.
So on the other hand, Ma'am Verno, again, we have the living parts of an ecosystem, which are called the biotic factors. So abiotic factors make up much of the variation seen between different ecosystems. So by determining the availability of essential resources such as sunlight, water, oxygen, and minerals, abiotic factors really influence which organisms can survive in that particular place.
Yes, Ma'am Chris. So common examples of abiotic factors include wind, rain, humidity, latitude, temperature, elevation, soil composition, salinity, radiation, and pollution.
That is right, Ma'am Vern. So those are again the different non-living components or non-living factors which somehow affect the living components or the biotic factors of an ecosystem.
Yes, Ma'am Chris.
So the following are few examples of how abiotic factors can shape ecosystems by determining which organisms can live in them and what those organisms must do to survive.
Yes, Ma'am Chris.
So in many places such as prairie or savanna ecosystems, as shown on your screens, evolve instead of forest and jungle ecosystems. So as you can see on your screens right now, there is just a minimal number of trees, di ba, Ma'am Vern?
Yes, Ma'am
More
Chris.
of the grasses or savanna grasses. So
Yes.
because there is not enough rain to support the growth of trees in that particular area.
Yes, Ma'am Chris. So other factors such as high winds and soil is poor in essential nutrients may also help to create an environment in which trees cannot survive. So, but prairie plants are prevalent, Ma'am Chris,
That's right.
sa prairie or savanna nga ecosystem.
That's
so,
right.
abiotic factors may also include added challenges to life forms, such as temperature extremes, so too hot or too cold. Yes,
That's
Ma'am
right.
Chris. So, high winds or even pollution. Human activity has also become an important factor in determining which life forms survive in some ecosystems and surroundings.
That is right, Ma'am Vern, no? So in that particular case, Ma'am Vern, naagyod ang factor which is human activity because all of our activities could somehow contribute to the biosphere.
Yes, Ma'am
Oo.
Chris.
That's why we have pollution nowadays, Ma'am
Yes.
Vern. So another biome that is determined by abiotic factors is the desert, as shown on your screens right now. So because of low rainfall, deserts develop ecosystems that are highly distinct from those of any other habitat. Okay, so unlike the prairie, Ma'am Verno, the desert ecosystem is very dry, yun, Ma'am
Yes,
Vern.
Ma'am Chris.
So,
Ang savanna, at least ang savanna, na mga grass nga
Yes.
nanubo. But ang desert, wala gyud siya. Kay 0 to 1% rainfall. Mas na sila, Ma'am Chris.
yes, that is right. So
Yes.
minimal abiotic factor, which is the water
Yes.
in the desert ecosystem. So, at the end of the spectrum, we also have the tropical rainforest. This is one of the wettest ecosystems on Earth. So, as shown on your screens right now, it is called or tropical rainforest because they are located in tropics or tropical regions, such
Yes.
as in the Philippines.
Yes, Ma'am Chris.
So, the tropics form a belt around the equator and receive a great deal of sunlight throughout the year. So resulting in warm temperatures and also mild seasons.
Yes, Ma'am Chris. So due to their warm and wet climates, Ma'am Chris, rainforests develop extremely dense, lush, and complex ecosystems. So rainforests are unique in that they consist of life layered on top of life. So most scientists divide tropical rainforest into 6 different layers, Ma'am Chris. So each of which hosts different types of life cycles.
Yes, that's right, Ma'am Verno. As what you can see on your screen right now, we have the different layers, which also vary based on the amount of sunlight
Yes,
that
Ma'am
they
Chris.
receive. So as you can see on your screen, the topmost layers is also called the emergent
Emergent layer.
layer.
And
the
the
second
canopy layer.
is the canopy
Yes.
layer. This is the layer wherein they receive, or most of the species receive, a great deal of sunlight or a great amount of sunlight.
Yes, Ma'am
Whereas
Chris.
the bottommost layers is called the understory or the
Forest
floor. So they're the bottommost layer wherein the species or the biotic factors receive a minimal amount of sunlight because
Yes.
of the shade of the
Yes.
plants sa canopy.
Top sa top, yes.
So this also impacts, or the amount of sunlight impacts the species living on that particular layer, which are able to grow.
Yes, Ma'am Chris. So another unique type of biome, Ma'am Chris, created by abiotic factors is the tundra. Yes, tundras are shown on your screens right now, are located in the North Polar region, where they receive very little light and heat from the sun.
That's right.
So as a result, only a thin top layer of soil thaws or defrosts sufficiently to allow plant growth. Yes.
Yes, that's right, Ma'am Verno. So, unlike the desert ecosystem, tundras, of course, receive a very little light and heat from the sun.
Sunlight, yes.
Yes, so, moreover, the ice or the surface is
Yes.
mostly made up of ice.
Yes.
So, a deep layer of soil called subsoil can remain frozen for thousands of years. So because the subsoil remains frozen, trees which require deep roots cannot grow in tundra.
Tundra, yes.
So instead, grasses and other small plants that can grow in the thin soil flourish. So as what we have discussed na Ma'am Verno, there you can see how the abiotic factors really affect the biotic factors.
Yes, of an ecosystem, Ma'am
That
Chris.
is right.
Yes, so abiotic factors in the ocean, Ma'am Chris. So the ocean shown on your screens right now hosts some unique abiotic factors. Notably, the ocean contains salt. So it also has the attribute of death or gilalumon,
Yes.
which affects the amount of sunlight that the sea life receives. So the saltiness of the ocean is important for the animals living there. All creatures must adapt to prevent the ocean's salt from disrupting their biochemistry or their growth, Ma'am Chris.
Yes, that is right. So because of the presence of the abiotic factor present in the ocean, of course, the living components there learn to adapt
Yes,
on
adapt.
their habitat or the
Yes.
nature of their environment, such as the saltiness of the water. So the ocean, like the rainforest, also has a number of different zones that receive different amounts of sunlight, just like the rainforest, Ma'am Verno,
Yes, Ma'am Chris.
and host very different types of life. So this is because the water itself blocks out and absorbs sunlight.
Yes, Ma'am Chris. So life in the topmost zone of the ocean, called the epipelagic zone,
Yes.
receives a large amount of sunlight, Ma'am Chris. So this is where photosynthetic ocean life like coral and seaweed is found. By contrast, the abyssopelagic zone at the bottom of the ocean receives almost no sunlight. So this part of the ocean hosts strange sea creatures, some of which cannot survive at the surface because their body structures depend on the high water pressure at depth.
So there you can see the presence of the water pressure, Ma'am
Yes,
Verno.
yes, Ma'am
That
Chris.
is also part of abiotic factor in
Yes.
which those organisms living in the underworld really cannot survive in the surface
In the surface,
because
yes.
they learn to adapt,
Adapt.
or to
pressure.
to the water pressure.
Yes.
So the very deep trenches of the ocean contain an even colder and darker zone called the hadopelagic or hadalpelagic zone. So this zone is named after the Greek underworld. So as a result of these abiotic factors, there are different ocean ecosystems such as shoreline ecosystems, coral reef ecosystems, and deep ocean ecosystems.
Yes, Ma'am Chris. So when there are changes in the abiotic factors present in an ecosystem, it would greatly affect the living things present in that ecosystem,
That
Ma'am
is
Chris.
right.
For example, if a freshwater ecosystem, when the pH level decreases, causing the water to be more acidic,
Yes.
it would result to extinction of aquatic organisms since their natural environment is disrupted.
That is right, Ma'am
Yes.
Verno. On the other hand, when there is too much rain or wind speed brought by typhoon, like for example, na ay bagyo.
Yes.
So it would also alter or change the abiotic factor in that particular ecosystem, specifically the wind speed
Yes.
or the amount of rainfall. So it would affect living organisms such as what happened in Typhoon Odette. The sudden changes in the amount of rainfall and the speed of wind caused a lot of trees to be destructed or become uprooted, no, Ma'am Vern?
Yes, Ma'am Chris. So, mamatay ilang natural habitat, Ma'am
That is
Chris.
right.
So, wala sila kapuyan.
That is right.
Yes. So, therefore, the life
Of abiotic?
the life of abiotic,
Of
rather,
biotic.
the life of biotic factors is greatly affected by abiotic factors, Ma'am Chris.
Yes.
It would cause living organisms to thrive, live, and reproduce. However, the abrupt changes of abiotic factors could also alter the way living organisms live or
So,
survive.
Yes, that's right, Ma'am Vern. So that's it, grade 7 learners. We hope that you learned something new today. So for your activity, there's a given selection, and all you have to do is to read the given selection or paragraph and answer the guide questions briefly.
Yes.
So write your answers in 3 to 5 sentences. So stay tuned for Science 8 is coming next. More discussions when we return. This is
Astral Academy Cyber School.
Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na mag-ipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na, mag-aral na. Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana.
And we are back, still here in Astral Academy Cyber School. Okay, so this time, Ma'am Vern, let's proceed with our lesson for Science 8.
Yes, Ma'am
With
Chris.
learning competency, compare and contrast comets, meteors, and asteroids. Specifically, we have 2 learning objectives for this lesson or learning competency, which are differentiate the characteristics of comets and asteroids. We also have to differentiate or cite the difference among meteoroid, meteors, and meteorites.
Yes. So,
Okay. So based on your previous discussions, you already know the main difference among comets, meteors, and asteroids. However, in this lesson, let us try to go deeper on the difference between comets and asteroids, as well as the difference among meteoroid, meteors, and meteorites.
So, recall that meteors are space rocks that burn up upon entering the Earth's atmosphere. So
They could either be debris from the collision of asteroids or the dust
Yes.
created by comets. How do comets and asteroids differ from each other, Ma'am Chris?
Okay, so let us now go deeper no on the
Yes.
main difference between comets and asteroids.
Asteroids.
So, as shown on your screen right now, comets and asteroids differ in a way that comets are icy bodies or objects, while asteroids are rocky fragments. So that the nature of their or the type differ on where they are particularly located.
Yes.
So the table shown on your screens show the similarities and differences between comets and asteroids. So let us try to see in terms of their origin, Ma'am Vern.
Yes.
So when we talk about comet, they originate from Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud.
Yes.
So when we talk
Asteroid.
about asteroid,
The main asteroid belt.
yes, so when we try to go deeper about that, Ma'am Vern, no, main asteroid belt is located in between planet Mars and Jupiter.
Yes.
Okay, on the other hand, Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud, they are located beyond Neptune or
Yes.
planet Neptune. So in terms of their shape, Ma'am Vern, no, they are both varied and irregular.
Yes. So in their size, Ma'am Chris, ranging from diameter, so 1 to 10 nucleus only for
Yes,
the comet,
comet.
and 1 to 100 or more sa asteroid.
So in
Yes.
other words, Ma'am Vern, no, asteroid is much bigger.
yes.
Yes. In terms of their chemical composition, no, Ma'am Vern, comet is mostly made up of ice, particularly frozen water, frozen gases such as ammonia, methane, and carbon dioxide. It also contains other organic compounds such as carbon-containing compounds.
And for asteroid, Ma'am Chris, silicates or
Yes.
mga silicon containing compound.
Yes, that's right.
So iron and nickel.
Yes. And also, in terms of their orbit, the orbit of comet is highly elliptical. On the other hand,
More rounded sa
ang
asteroid.
asteroid.
Yes.
And for the orbital period, Ma'am Vern,
Sa comet, 75 to 100 or 100,000 or more
years.
Years, yes.
Yes.
Ang comets,
Comets.
yes.
On
And
the
for
other hand-
asteroid, 1 to 100 years only lang sa
Yes.
asteroid.
because
So, as you know,
asteroid
yes.
is actually located nearer to the sun than comets.
Yes.
That is why, as you can see on your screens, it would take longer years for the comets to complete its orbit. Yes.
So both comets and asteroids have varied and irregular shapes. However, asteroids have bigger sizes compared to comets. So
That's
when we
right.
compare the location of comets and asteroids, comets are located farther from the sun. So mas layo siya sa sun, Ma'am Chris. So that's
Yes.
why it takes longer years for the comets to complete one revolution than the asteroids. That's what you mentioned earlier, Ma'am Chris,
Yes,
no?
that is right. So when we talk about revolution, Ma'am Verno, it is the object revolving around the sun.
Yes.
Yes. So comets and asteroids have different composition. Since asteroids are located near the inner planets, its composition is mostly made up of silicates or rocky materials. That's why they are usually rocky objects. On the other hand, comets are usually icy or frozen, as what we have mentioned earlier, since they are located near Neptune or farther from it.
Yes, Ma'am Chris. So scientists theorize that the early impact of comets on Earth brought liquid water to the planet.
Yes.
So since during Earth's formation, they believe that the planet must have been too hot to have liquid water on its surface.
Yeah, so because of the early collision of the comets and Earth, that is why the Earth nowadays have water.
Water.
Yes. So after knowing the similarities and differences of comets and asteroids, let us now know what is the difference among meteoroid, meteors, and meteorites. So they are very simple lang, Ma'am Verno. All they need to remember when we talk about meteoroid, these are rocky or metallic fragment of an asteroid, comet, or planet. So they have to take note of that term, fragment.
Yes.
So Bisaya pa, mga
Salin-salin,
salin-salin or
yes.
kanang kung mag-collide ang asteroids, both asteroids, so katong mga
Rock-
dugmok-dugmok,
Yes.
that is the meteoroid.
And the meteor, Ma'am Chris, streak of light seen when a meteoroid hits up in the atmosphere.
So that's right,
So
Ma'am
ang
Verno.
yang Ma'am murag pattern na niya no murag ana.
Yes, so when a rocky material or a rocky object enters the Earth's
Yes.
atmosphere, so it will actually burn
Yes.
because of the composition of the atmosphere. So the burn up, creating a streak of light,
Yes.
is because of the friction of the gases as well as the motion of the rocky material.
Yes, Ma'am Chris.
So,
So, muna siya meteor.
yes, kay
Mm.
'di ba kung when we rub both our hands, 'di ba, it will somehow create heat.
Heat, yes.
So pareha ra pud na siya sa friction,
Friction.
between gases of the atmosphere as well as the rocky material.
Yes.
That's why it will heat up and will burn, producing a streak of light.
Yes.
And some of those rocky materials will successfully land the Earth's
on Earth,
surface.
yes.
Yes, and we call that meteorite.
Meteorite.
So meteorite, these are meteor fragments that reaches the ground. Okay.
So in terms of location, Ma'am Chris, meteoroid is found in space.
Yes.
Meteor is in the atmosphere, and meteorite is on Earth.
That
so
is
muna siya
right.
difference, Ma'am Chris.
So, for your activity, grade 8 learners, you need to fill in the missing terms to completely differentiate comets, meteors, and asteroids.
Asteroids.
For your second activity, you will draw and label the location of meteor, meteoroid, and meteorite to cite their or to see their difference. So
Yes.
note your drawing should not be a copy of the given illustration in the first page.
Yes. So stay tuned because we will be right back after a short break. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
And we are back still here in Astral Academy Cyber School. Okay, before we proceed with our Science 9, okay, so it's time for you to take note of your second attendance marker. So right on top of your screen, kindly take note of your second attendance marker.
Yes.
So let us now have our
Science
second,
9.
Science 9.
Yeah, so learning competency for Science 9, determine the percentage composition of a compound given its chemical formula and vice versa.
Okay. So, in the earlier lessons, you have learned about calculating the molar mass and the connection between molar mass, number of moles, and the number of particles in a mole of a substance.
Yes, Ma'am Chris. So this time, in order to be proficient in solving for molar mass and percentage composition of an element, let's solve more sample problems, Ma'am Chris. So,
Yes.
But first, let's review what is molar mass and how to get it using its formula.
Yes. So, how to get the molar mass, Ma'am Verno? So, molar mass of a substance is defined as the total mass of 1 mole of a substance.
Yes, Ma'am Chris.
So, it is numerically equal to the atomic mass and often represented in terms of grams per mole. So, that
Yes.
is the unit of molar mass. So, molar mass can be represented or can be solved. Example is this sample compound, carbon dioxide. So for
CO2.
or the CO2. So let us illustrate it properly, Ma'am Verno, so that our student can really understand how to solve the molar mass. So they can actually use the table or the technique, which is writing a table, no, Ma'am Vern? So for the formula carbon dioxide, they need to know first the different elements which are found in this compound. So we actually have two elements, carbon and oxygen. So the symbol for carbon is letter C, and the symbol for oxygen is letter O. Now, through the help of the periodic table of elements, so of course in solving for molar mass, they really have to use the periodic table of elements since it contains the different atomic mass of the elements. Now, for the carbon, the atomic mass is 12.01. So we will use grams per mole. And for the oxygen, it's 15.99 grams per mole. Or it can be rounded off to 16 grams per mole. Okay? Now, next is determining the number of atoms present in that particular compound, Ma'am Vern. So for carbon, since all you have to do is to look at the chemical formula, the subscript of the chemical formula. Now for letter C, take note that wala siya subscript, no? So it is already given that the subscript is 1. So therefore, in the carbon dioxide, there is only one carbon atom. For the oxygen, since the subscript, there is a subscript 2, therefore, carbon dioxide contains 2 oxygen atoms. Now, we need to multiply the atomic mass of the element to the number of atoms in order for us to get the total element mass. Now, we have 12.01 times 1 is 12.01 grams per mole. And for the oxygen, we have 2 times 15.99. That is equivalent to 31.99 grams per mole or 32 grams per mole. Now, for us to get the molar mass of carbon dioxide, we need to simply add. So simply add up the total element mass. We have 12.01 grams per mole plus 32 grams per mole. It is equal to 44 grams per mole. So as you can see, it is very easy to solve for the molar mass if you have the atomic mass or if you know the atomic mass of the element as well as the number of atoms present in that particular compound. So another example, Ma'am Verno, is another useful compound which is water or H2O. So since the chemical formula of water is H2O, we can also read it as dihydrogen oxide because again there are 2 hydrogen atoms. That's why we have dihydrogen. And there is only 1 oxygen atom. That's why we have oxide. So dihydrogen oxide or simply known as water compound. So again, there are 2 elements, the hydrogen and oxygen. Now, for hydrogen atom, we have the subscript 2. Therefore, water contains 2 hydrogen atoms. And for the oxygen, we don't have or we can't see any subscript there. So it is already given that it has 1 oxygen atom only. Now using the periodic table of elements, the atomic mass for hydrogen is 1.01 gram per mole. And the atomic mass of oxygen is 16 grams per mole. Now again, after knowing or writing the atomic mass of each substituent element or constituent element, we need to multiply the number of atoms to the atomic mass. So for hydrogen, we have 2.02 grams per mole. And for oxygen, we still have 16 grams per mole. Now, in order to get the molar mass of a substance, we add the atomic mass of all the constituent elements. And that is equal to 18.02 grams per mole. Okay? So, molar mass is needed in order to proceed in solving for the percentage composition. So in finding for the molar mass of a compound, again, you need to identify first the atomic mass of each constituent element. And the atomic mass is found, again, in your periodic table of elements. Okay? So now let's proceed to solving for the percentage composition. So basically, percentage composition pertains to how many or the part of that particular constituent element that is present in that particular compound. How many percent is present in that particular element sa compound. So, for example, is the sodium carbonate. So the element or the compound sodium carbonate has a chemical formula Na2CO3. So there you can see we actually have 3 elements or constituent elements for this compound. We have the Na, C, and O. So Na is also known as sodium, C is carbon, and O is oxygen. Now, for us to determine the number of atoms, again, we need to look at their subscript. So the subscript of Na is 2, therefore, a sodium carbonate contains 2 sodium atoms. For C, we have 1, and for oxygen, we have 3. Then, if we base it to the periodic table of elements, we have the sodium has 23 or is 23 grams per mole, the atomic mass of sodium. The atomic mass of carbon is 12 grams per mole, and the atomic mass of oxygen is 16 grams per mole. After that, again, multiply the number of atoms to the atomic mass of each constituent element. So for sodium, we have 2 times 23. It is equal to 46 grams per mole. For carbon, 1 times 12.01, that is still 12.01 grams per mole or 12 grams per mole. For oxygen, we have 3 times 16, 48 grams per mole. After that, we need to get the sum of the 3 atomic masses of the constituent elements. So we have 46 plus 12 plus 48. It is equivalent to 106 grams per mole. Now, the molar mass of the compound is very essential in order for us to solve for the percentage composition as well as the mass or the atomic mass of each constituent element. Now, let us try to solve for the percentage composition of sodium carbonate. Okay, so while Ma'am Vernice is fixing our whiteboard, so Ma'am Vern, kindly write first the atomic mass of the constituent elements for sodium carbonate. So for sodium, the atomic mass is 46 grams per mole. For carbon, the atomic mass is 12 grams per mole. For oxygen, the atomic mass is 48 grams per mole. And the molar mass is 106 grams per mole. Okay, so for the percentage composition of the constituent of the compound sodium carbonate, so we need to divide the atomic mass of the constituent element to the molar mass, then multiply it by 100. So again, multiply the molar mass of the constituent element, divide the molar mass of the constituent element to the molar mass of the compound, then multiply it by 100. So for sodium, 46 grams per mole divided by 106 grams per mole times 100 is equivalent to 43.4%. Okay, now for carbon, we have 12 grams per mole divided by 106 grams per mole times 100 is equal to 11.3%. Now for the oxygen, we have 48 grams per mole divided by 106 grams per mole times 100, that is equivalent to 45.3%. Now, how do we interpret the result? Now, for the compound sodium carbonate, 43.4% of it is sodium, 11.3% of it is carbon, and 45.3% of it is oxygen. Okay, so now let's have another example, Ma'am Vern, no? Para makuha gyud sa atong mga bata.
In order for them to check, Ma'am Chris,
Yes.
siya 100% in a gram.
Yes. So the sum of the percentage composition of all constituent elements should be equal to 100%. Okay. So our next compound, Ma'am Vern, is the C6H12O6. H12O6, or also known as glucose. So, background lang ta nga compound, Ma'am Vern, no? It is a product of the photosynthesis of plants, the C6H12O6. As you can see, there are 3 letters comprising the glucose compound. We have letter C, H, and letter O. C is carbon, H is hydrogen, and O is oxygen. Now, we need to, again, write the number of atoms. For letter C, 6, the subscript of H is 12, and the subscript of oxygen is 6. Now, by basing it on the periodic table of elements, we need to identify the atomic mass of these elements. So for carbon, the atomic mass is 12 grams per mole. For hydrogen is 1 grams per mole. And for oxygen is 16 grams per mole. Now again, multiply the number of atoms to the atomic mass of each element. So for carbon, we have 6 times 12 is 72 grams per mole. For hydrogen, we have 12 times 1, it is 12 grams per mole, sorry. And for oxygen, we have the 6 times 16, it is equal to 96 grams per mole. Therefore, in order to get the molar mass, we need to get the sum or add the 3. So 72 plus 12 plus 96, it is equivalent to 180 grams per mole. Now again, we need to take note of these 4 values since these are the values needed for us to get or determine or calculate the percentage composition. So, erase that no? Sige, rewrite it. Can you rewrite 72 si carbon, 12 si hydrogen, and 96 si oxygen. Now, how do we solve the percentage composition of glucose? Again, in order to solve for the percentage composition of glucose, we need to divide the atomic mass to the molar mass, then multiply it by 100. Okay, so we have 72 grams per mole divided by 180 grams per mole times 100. So 180 grams per mole, so that is equivalent to 40%. So if you have calculators at home, you can actually solve with us. Next, for hydrogen, 12 grams per mole divided by 180 grams per mole times 100. That is equivalent to 6.67%. Okay, and for oxygen, 96 grams per mole divided by 180 grams per mole. Again, the 180 grams per mole is the molar mass of the compound times 100. Okay, times 100, it is equal to 53.3%. Now, so in other words, for the compound glucose or the C6H12O6, 40% of it contains carbon, 6.67% of the compound contains the element hydrogen, and 53.3% of the compound contains the element oxygen. Now, if we get the sum or if we total all the percentages, then they of the constituent elements, then they would all be equal to 100. Okay? So I hope that the molar mass or the concept of molar mass and the percent composition is already clear to you. So for your activity, that is a sample problem. All you need to do is to solve for the molar mass and the percentage composition of the given compounds. So stay tuned because
We will be right back after a short break. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Addition of multiplication, subtraction of ang division. Problema dali ra sulbaron, kay ang mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Ang mati ay sayon. Ang mati ay sayon. Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na mag-ipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na, mag-aral na. Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na mag-ipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na, mag-aral na. Ipipina, 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 ipipina.
And we are back still here in Astral Academy Cyber School. Okay, so Ma'am Vern, let us now have our final lesson for today,
Yes,
which
Ma'am Chris.
is Science 10 with learning competency. Explain the operation of a simple generator. So last week, Ma'am Verna, we have discussed about the operation of electric motor. So you have learned that electric motor converts electrical energy to mechanical energy. And this is an application of Ørsted's discovery that electricity produces magnetism.
Yes, Ma'am Chris. So tracing its history, Ma'am Chris, shortly after Ørsted discovery, the electricity produces magnetic field. So scientists experimented the opposite possibility. This led to Michael Faraday to discover the electromagnetic induction in 1831. So as shown on your screens right now, Michael Faraday concluded that when a wire is moved through a magnetic field, a current is generated in the wire.
Yes, so a practical application of Faraday's electromagnetic induction is the simple generator. So again, no, Ma'am Vern, its mechanics is opposite to the simple electric motor.
yes.
So because electric generator, it is a mechanical device that converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. So when we talk about mechanical energy, it's simply, in layman's term,
Naglihok
naglihok,
siya, yes.
mechanics, so mechanical energy into electricity. So it is the exact opposite of electric motor, since an electric motor converts electrical energy to mechanical energy. So an application of an electric motor, Ma'am Vern, is seen for kanang magtuyok,
Yes,
such as
anything nga magtuyok,
anything
yes.
nga magtuyok, such as
Electric
fan.
Yes. So the parts of electric generator, Ma'am Chris, are almost the same as the electric motor. So the basic parts of electric generator are the armature, brushes, commutator, or slip rings, and permanent magnet, or the stator. Yes. So the galvanometer detects the presence of current in a circuit.
Yes, Ma'am Vern. So let us show them an illustration of, this is a very simple electric generator, Ma'am Vern. No? We can actually make this at home, Ma'am Vern.
Yes.
So this one, or the coil of wire, is termed as the armature. So this is the armature, Ma'am Vern. So it is actually a coils of wire, which are good conductors of electricity. So when we talk about good conductor of electricity, Ma'am Verno, this means that the electrons in the atoms can move or transfer.
Yes.
So what are the basic metal which is the very good conductor of electricity? Example of that is the copper wire.
Yes.
Which is usually used good siya in the electricity or electric
Installation
parts
of
or electric
yes.
installation. So take note that one of the basic parts of an electric generator is the stator or the permanent magnet. So this is actually termed as the stator. So it is called stator, Ma'am Berno, from the term stationary. It is not
Yes.
moving. So steady lang. So the permanent magnet provides a uniform magnetic field. So it actually provides a uniform magnetic field. So so since it has a uniform magnetic field, in other words, there is a magnetic force.
Yes.
So that could attract electrons in the atoms. So since all of the objects are made up of atoms, so and one of the subatomic particle of atom is the electron.
Yes.
So electron it is freely moving man, diba, outside the nucleus. So when there is magnetic force, electrons tend to be attracted to the magnetic force.
Yes.
Okay? But for an electric generator, as shown on your screens right now, an armature needs to rotate or patuyukon tong coil of wire, Ma'am Vern, in a magnetic field produced by a magnet. So, as the conducting coils in the armature move through the magnetic field, so kay galihok man siya, no? And there is the presence of magnetic force, the
Yes, yes.
attraction of electrons in the wire, it will also result to the motion of the electrons kay gilihok man ang wire. So mulihok pud tong mga electrons
Yes.
na attract sa magnetic force. So when there is flow of electrons, Ma'am Vern, electric current is being produced. So as shown on your screen, if undawon gali ang paglihok, so no current is produced. So when the armature is not being rotated. So
an induced current, Ma'am Chris, as shown on your screens right now, is produced in an electric generator by rotating a wound coil, so called armature.
Yes.
Yes. So in a stationary magnetic field. So circular metal conductors called slip rings are connected to the ends of the armature so that they rotate with it. So the induced electric current is delivered to an external circuit through the slip rings by stationary brushes.
yes, that's right, Ma'am Verno. So I hope that the concept of a simple electric generator is already understood to our grade 10 learners.
Yes, Ma'am Chris.
So for your activity, you need to study the given illustration and answer the following questions. Okay, Ma'am Vern. So stay tuned because we will be right back after a short break. This is
Astral Academy Cyber School.
Tutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo, tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tangkop, tangkop time.
And we are back, still here
In Astral Academy Cyber School.
So, Ma'am Verno, we're now done with all our topics in science in
Yes.
this lesson or in this
Yes.
week. So, it's now
Third.
time for us to tell our students na naa na ang atong third attendance marker.
on top of your screen, students.
Kindly take note of your
Yes.
third attendance marker.
Yes.
Okay, so this time on Verno, let us extend our heartfelt thanks to all the people behind this program, specifically our production, our executive producer, Sir Gasepi. Our production team, we have
Headed by Sir Antonio, Alden Antonio, and Sir Lay. And of course, to all the sirs
The
behind
sirs.
behind the screen, Ma'am
Yes,
Chris.
behind the camera.
Yes. And
Naagid
of
na sila,
course,
no?
Ma'am Chris, to our junior
Learners.
high school
junior high school learners. Yes, junior high school learners, thank you so much for staying with us.
Yes.
And of course, all the people or the parents, the teachers, yes, the supportive parents. Thank you so much. So this has been Ma'am Mary Chris Malalis from Bintana Integrated School.
And Miss Bernalyn Carpio from Tangub City National High School.
This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
Bye!
Bye.